I made it. No, but how are you doing really? By the time you're watching this, I will be halfway around the world, embarking on a quixotic tour of the East. In preparation for said clinics, I have been checking out some real clinicians, among them Mr. JP Bouvet? Just kidding, JP, you know I love you. Yeah, JP Bouvet, one of the most underrated drummers and clinicians on the planet. And I watched a lot of drum clinics, and the thing that JP does is he actually does a version of what I do, just like way better than I do. He breaks stuff down, he gets really granular and simple, and then proceeds to blow people's minds. So this is a lesson for the fans. Some weeks I'll do how to play like Tony Royster or how to play like Chris Dave. And other weeks I'll do lessons about something I happened to be shedding. So today, after listening to a little bit of JP, I was just shedding this triplet type of thing. Which, you know, can also be over sixteenths. But it occurred to me that a few weeks ago I did a lesson on the kick drum, and this would make a great warm-up for that. And also I worked on some Herta stuff for you guys. So the kick drum lesson is 2 weeks ago, how to really play the kick drum. Caused a ton of controversy, which I love. The last lesson we talked briefly about how to play doubles and triples with the kick drum. And I mentioned you could do something like as a warm-up, and that's all well and good, but I wanted to get slightly deeper into that because it turns out that once you can play the bass drum in kind of multiple different parts of the triplet in relation to your right hand and your left hand, then you can kind of think in 4 dimensions with Purdie shuffles. So the Purdie shuffle, made famous by Mr. Bernard Purdie, is of course something like this. 3, 4. And one thing I want to connect the bass drum to is this concept of playing clean, which is probably what I'm going to talk about in my clinics, which is one of the sort of 3 major things that separate great drummers from average drummers. And that just means literally when you play, are those sounds really together or are they not? You know, are you nailing it or are we just messing around? And this seems a little abstract, like versus. But when you try to play something like a Purdie shuffle, for some reason that's the beat that really brings it out and exposes it. If your personal drum troupe is sloppy, nothing will tease that out like a Purdie shuffle. Anyway, this is the exercise. It's literally just triplet, triplet. With 3 permutations of the bass drum. So the first is playing the triplet, 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 trip. So it's on the downbeat and it's together with the right hand. Triplet, triplet. So that's all well and good, and practice that, and if that's not clean, stay there. But the next one is the second 2 triplets of the bar. So triplet, 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 trip. And the key is we're going to leave the right hand in the same place. So triplet, triplet. You see how now you're shifting things over, so you need to lock stuff up, and it makes it slightly more difficult. And then the final one is obviously the only other place you can put consecutive groups of 2 notes occurring regularly every beat within a triplet matrix, which is the first 2. And I'm not really a big fan of matrices because I think you practice a lot of variations that you're never going to use. But in this case, there are only 3, and I think they're all helpful. So that, of course, is triplet, 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 triplet. So that'll sound like this. Triplet, triplet. Somebody told me I need to look like I'm having more fun when I play. So next stage is to just do those consecutively. So you've got a metronome. It's probably clicking on your swung 8th upbeat. So your every last triplet. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. Right, and then there was a variation I'd worked out for this which made it sound cool. So it's just a hemiola, which goes like this. I'll do the hands first. Triplet, triplet. So with the bass drum in the first spot, the let triplet spot, that'll just sound like this. 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And with the bass drum on the last 2, it'll sound like. And on the first 2, it'll sound like this. 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Once you get that together, you'll have a kind of dexterity with this Purdie shuffle. You'll kind of be able to play on different parts of the beat. Okay, so now I want to show you this Herta type of thing. So a Herta, I really hate that word, is essentially the same as what I call a trip diddlet. So if you're going 3, 4, triplet, 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 trip, a Herta would just be 3, 4. Hey! Stage dive, right? Enough merriment. So when I talked about the trip diddlet, I was speaking in the context of slow to medium swing, when you could substitute it for basically anytime you have the last 2 triplets on the left hand. So if you're going that triplet could become trip diddlet. So that holds true as well when you're playing a Purdie shuffle. So instead of, not that you would play that, but indulge me for a second. I'm creating an exaggerated loop to show you. So if you got triplet, 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 instead of triplet, 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 triplet. Well, that sounds lame. What are we going to do with that? Okay, well, how about for starters add an accent on the let of the triplet. So and how about adding a hemiola, which is making a either 2 3-beat cycles and a 2-beat cycle out of an 8-beat cycle, or 2 6-beat cycles and a 4-beat cycle out of a 16-beat cycle. So easier to illustrate than explain. So instead of, it would be 3, 4. Okay, so already you could see how you could deploy that in a fill over a Purdie shuffle. What's the next stage for that? Is obviously if you're going right, left, that's the perfect sticking to do this. Aaron Spears type of stuff. And the only difference with that is instead of starting with the double stop between the hats and the kick drum, you're just gonna hit the kick drum by itself. So 3, 4. So you can do that same Hemiola thing with that, and that would sound like this. 3, 4. But I like to orchestrate that to the fuller tom, so that would be this. 3, 4. The last lick I want to show you is instead of the trip diddle it, the trip diddle little, which is just trip diddle little. And you might remember this from such lessons as the Marcus Gilmore lesson, where again I was doing it in a jazz context. So you could do, again, anytime you're playing triplets, you could play. Right, that's kind of a common thing that Marcus Gilmore does. But when you're playing in the context of a Purdie shuffle that's sort of hi-hat based, you can do this Thomas Pridgeon sweep on the backside. So you can quickly see how that would sound cool sped up. And in particular, if you play a Hemiola with it, so. And sped up, see if I can do this, that would sound like. Yay, I made it! Okay, so I think that's probably enough to give you guys for one lesson. If you're already a fan of the channel, if you're a lurker, if you've been checking out the free stuff, but you're ready to go deeper, you're ready to take it to the next level, ready to take it to phase 2, I recommend something called the 80-20 coaching course, which is like 6 months of studying with me for the price of about a single lesson. And as a gateway drug to that, I recommend my video, the 80-20 roadmap. Most drummers, as I said at the top of the lesson, make some version of the same 3 mistakes. They're not playing cleanly, not playing in time, and not having good idea flow or improvisation. The 80-20 roadmap will help you shore up and triage those areas, the very areas I'm going to be speaking about in my clinics, and thus will help you get better faster. So check them out. Guys, always a fun time making lessons for you. I'll be back next week for another lesson of the week. I'm Nate, this is the 80-20 drummer. One love. Right, it's kind of basic, but it it's